All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we are going to bridge a pretty massive gap, the one between the totally mind-bending math of modern cryptography and the strictly pragmatic, hard and fast rules of real-world internet security. You know, if you've ever actually stopped and wondered how abstract geometric curves are literally keeping your bank account safe right now, or say why security engineers get so incredibly defensive about exactly which software libraries you're using, well, you are definitely in the right place. So here's a quick roadmap for the explainer. We're going to start with Alice Bob and hidden messages, then move into clock math and trapdoors, explore the elliptic curve advantage, lay down the ultimate golden rule of crypto, and finally wrap up by looking at hashing and future threats. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Alice Bob and hidden messages, the foundation of cryptography. We've got to begin our journey with the absolute classic cryptographic narrative. I'm talking about Alice and Bob. Cryptography is, fundamentally, just the study of hidden message passing, and it's almost always illustrated through these two imaginary characters who are desperately trying to keep their private conversations hidden from their eternal nemesis, Charles.
At its core, encryption mangles a message so thoroughly that only the intended recipient can unmangle it, which protects your data from prying eyes across literally any network. Basically, you take a readable plain text message, pass it through an enciphering transformation function, and it spits out unreadable ciphertext. A super classic, simple example of this is the ancient Roman Caesar cipher. By just shifting letters a few spaces down the alphabet, a word like fubaz turns into complete scrambled nonsense. But as you can probably guess, protecting modern internet data requires something a whole lot stronger than just sliding letters around. That brings us to Section 2, Clock Math and Trapdoors, the mathematical engine. To really understand how this mangling actually works securely on today's internet, we have to explore the theoretical mathematics that make modern encryption possible in the first place. So, standard math relies on a standard number line, right? One that just stretches out into infinity. But cryptography, it relies on something called modular arithmetic. Imagine a clock. Instead of an infinite, never-ending line, we use a clock math number circle. Think about it. If you have a 26-element circle and you add past 25, you just wrap right back around to 0. It is such an incredibly clever trick because it perfectly complies with standard arithmetic axioms, but it restricts our answers to a finite field. That effectively masks the true distance between the numbers, totally confusing attackers like Charles. And building on that, we get trapdoor functions, which are the absolute bedrock of public key cryptography. They are essentially one-way mathematical functions. Imagine dropping a letter into one of those secure blue street mailboxes. It's incredibly easy to push the letter in, right? But it's computationally infeasible, basically impossible, to put it back out unless you happen to hold the exact key to that specific mailbox. This mechanism ensures Charles literally cannot reverse engineer Alice's message, even if he knows the exact public encryption method she used. It all relies heavily on what we empirically consider realistically computable with today's technology. Moving right along to Section 3, the elliptic curve advantage, the modern hero. Let's see how these basic trapdoors build into something even more powerful than those classic number circles. We're talking about elliptic curve cryptography, or ECC, and this is honestly where the math gets visually fascinating. By mapping values onto a specific geometric curve, an elliptic curve, we create what mathematicians call a finite abelian group. It's this highly complex, wrapping mathematical structure. Just visualizing it, finding an additive inverse on this curve is strangely elegant. If you have a point P, its inverse, negative P, is found simply by reflecting it straight across the horizontal axis. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? But here's the kicker. Finding that inverse is totally straightforward if you know the secret, and just about impossible if you don't. And here is how we actually do the math in practice. Instead of just multiplying massive prime numbers together like older cryptographic systems do, modern crypto uses geometric addition. You take 2 points on the curve, P and Q, draw a straight line through them, and find exactly where that line intersects the curve again, at a third point, R. You then reflect that point down to get your answer. To encrypt your data, a computer will repeat this geometric doubling and adding hundreds of times in a fraction of a second, securely scrambling your information. It is an absolute nightmare for an attacker to try and trace those geometric steps backward. Now, this geometric efficiency is exactly why the tech industry is shifting so rapidly away from older methods. ECC gives you the exact same robust security as an older RSA system, but it requires a fraction of the key size. To put that into perspective, to protect data securely through the year 2050, you would need a massive 3072-bit RSA key. But with elliptic curves, you only need a 256-bit key. No way, right? That incredibly small footprint saves massive amounts of computing power, preserves network bandwidth, and crucially for all of us, it saves the battery life on your mobile devices. Section 4. The Golden Rule of Crypto. Engineering Reality. Having just seen the incredible mathematical complexity of these curves, it's time to put on our battle-hardened software engineer hats and look at how we actually apply this stuff in the real world.
Okay, the absolute golden rule of modern implementation, and seriously, if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please make it this, is that you should never write this math yourself. Seriously, do not do it. Always rely on vetted, misuse-resistant libraries like NaCl, libsodium, or monocypher to handle the heavy lifting for you. The genius cryptographers who actually built these libraries specifically designed them to prevent everyday developers from making catastrophic, stupid mistakes. Let them do their jobs.
So when you are wiring together your applications, you need to stick strictly to modern, authenticated algorithms like ChaCha20 Poly 1305 and Curve 25519. You must entirely abandon older, brittle primitives. Just drop them. Drop AES-CBC, drop RSA entirely if you can, and absolutely avoid anything with a 64-bit block size like Blowfish. Those older algorithms are highly vulnerable to modern attacks, and they just aren't worth the risk anymore.
Basically, avoid freelancing your own protocols at all costs. You want to use E25519 for digital signatures because it's deterministic, and that's a big deal. It protects you from catastrophic issues like the infamous PlayStation 3 hack. You remember that? Where just reusing a single random number accidentally leaked their secret master keys to the entire internet. Oops! Also, never invent your own encrypted transport layer. Just use standard TLS. And when it comes to generating random numbers, stick exclusively to your operating system's kernel space generator, like dev urandom. Historically, those user space random number generators are exactly where the most devastating security breaches occur.
Which brings us to Section 5, Hashing and Future Threats. Looking ahead. We've secured our communications for today, sure, but we also have to verify data integrity and, well, prepare for the computational threats of tomorrow. To ensure Charles hasn't secretly altered Bob's message while it was in transit, we use hash functions. Think of a hash as a fixed-length digital fingerprint of a message. But you really have to pick the right one. You need to use strong, collision-resistant hash functions like SHA-2 or the incredibly fast Blake-2. And you must absolutely leave compromised algorithms like MD5 and SHA-1 in the dust. I mean it, they are broken for good. Modern attackers can easily manipulate files to produce the exact same fingerprint using those old algorithms, which totally defeats the purpose.
Looking forward, though, we have a problem. What is considered computationally infeasible today might be absolute child's play for tomorrow's quantum computers. That is a massive, looming threat to all classical cryptography. And it's exactly why researchers are already out there testing entirely new paradigms, like chaotic hash functions. By building algorithms that rely heavily on chaos theory, they are creating systems that are intensely sensitive to unpredictable initial conditions. It is basically a global arms race to stay one step ahead of quantum codebreakers.
So, I'm going to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to ponder. As quantum computing fundamentally rewrites the rules of computational power, what is the true shelf life of the digital secrets we are so confidently encrypting today? If tomorrow's machines can just shatter today's math, how long are our secrets really safe? Well, I hope this explainer helped you understand the fascinating bridge between those abstract mathematical curves and the practical, hard-coded libraries that are keeping our internet secure right now. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me.